Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Lifestyle with Dr. Mobi. And today we have unique and excellent guest, Unica, and she has a great story to share with us. Let's welcome Unica. Welcome to our show.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Okay, great. And tell us about your journey, Unica. You are unique that you're author, but there's been a long journey for you to reach there. So tell us about your journey.
Yes, well, I was separated from my mother um, at a very young age when I was about two or 3 years old. I
Uh-huh.
was separated from her, from my father,
Mm,
and when I got 11, the woman that he married after my mom, she used to abuse us, and so we ended up going into foster care.
mhm,
And I stayed there until I aged out of foster care. And while that happened, during my senior year, I dropped out of school because I couldn't really afford it, and it was more that I was embarrassed. And so I dropped out of school and I stayed in the club for a while, but I never um, considered that a permanent lifestyle for me. I always knew that it was something more that I should be doing, but I didn't have any role models or anyone to tell me that I could do better. So
mhm.
I gravitated towards what I loved as a child, which was reading. And so I read Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich. And when people hear the title, they'll think that it's just something all about making money. But that book actually helped me to influence my subconscious mind and helped me to elevate my mindset, above the circumstances that I was in. And once I did my transformation and once I changed, a lot of people asked me, how did I do it? And that's where my book, The Glow Up, was created because I wanted people to know that regardless of, whatever circumstances, regardless of whatever circumstances, sorry, my son's here. Regardless of whatever circumstances you go through, you still can elevate. And a lot of times people wait until they're, massively successful to, try to teach people and to try to give people a little wisdom. And I just kind of wanted to take people on my journey with me, and that's where the glow up came from.
Okay, we'll take a little bit break, and I'll be back in 1 minute. Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. We'll take one break, and I'll be back.
Okay.
Okay, okay, okay. Are you ready? Okay, good. Okay, okay. So welcome back to the continuing episode. So tell us, Unica, about your earlier years. Tell us how did you manage to complete some of the education and writing which you love so much?
Yeah, so as I stated, when people saw me change, even though I wasn't, massively successful, I was a person that people knew for being in the club. So they asked me, how did you do it and things like that. So that's why I wrote the book. And the glow up is the foundation to self reinvention. It's basically like the starting point that would set you up for self reinvention. And one of the things that one of the first things that's in the book is a um, self assessment. Basically, about evaluating yourself and seeing where you are right now and where you want to go at in life. Um, I talk about how I set goals and how I do my lifestyle changes and how I do my brainstorming sessions. So I gave people basically the foundation because there's so many elements to self reinvention and so much on the journey of personal growth. But I feel like the glow up is a foundation that would get you there. During my journey, of self reinvention. I tell everybody that it's not comfortable. It's not something that you are going to be used to doing because there are, habits that you would have to let go. There are people that you would have to let go, and you would really need to focus on what your purpose is. And a lot of people, they don't really know, what their purpose is. So that's why I made that book, and in the book, I have what's called a brainstorming session. And it's actually what I use for my creative process, how I sit down in solitude and I just write, all of the thoughts that come to my mind and all of the ideas that come to my mind. And I write down, my passions and journaling. So I try to give people the foundation to it. And the glow up is basically
I think we got. Okay, you're back. Okay,
Okay,
no
that was my
problem.
alarm. Sorry, that was
No,
my
no,
alarm.
no.
So I like to give people, the foundation to self reinvention because I feel like it's very important. And the glow up was written last year, and I was kind of on the fence about releasing it or how I was going to release it because right when it was time for me to release my book, the pandemic came, and I was kind of discouraged because I had a vision of how everything was going to be. But I saw on social media and just like how people around me were, panicking about, the situation and how is life going to go. So I decided to release the book anyways because I felt like this was a time that people really needed to see that regardless of what's going on around us, we still can elevate and we still can find our purpose, we still can pursue our calling even through all of the chaos that's going around. And my book tour, which I'm on right now, is still glowing up. And the book tour is basically just a reminder to people that you can't let any shortcomings in life stop you and that failure is not the final destination. So I feel like it's really important for people to know that you can always elevate and you should always be elevating.
Mm. So what you're saying is that you can always, believe in yourself and keep working no matter what happens. And like you said, COVID came, but you didn't give up, and you're still working on it and keep working on it. That's amazing. Yes, keep up that spirit because that's what really matters more is we keep working on it and don't do so. So tell us a little bit some chapters of your book, what's about.
Yes, let me get it just a second. So
Okay, great.
this is the book. This is the glow up,
Glow up.
and
Okay.
yes, so this is the glow up, and inside, the first chapter that I have is the self analysis.
Mm-hmm.
And with this book, I always advise people because I do it when I'm reading. I like to write and I like to interact with my book. So I like to think of this as not so much as a study book, but more of an interactive guide. So many times people get caught up in reading, studying, and not actually doing. So I made the book so that the reader can actually, be doing the steps and taking the steps as they're reading. So this first chapter is a self-analysis, and it has questions. You can answer at the bottom. You can have a journal. There's also pages that are blank pages in the back. So some of the questions that I ask is, why do I want to reinvent myself? And that's an important question, because people don't realize that when you set a goal, it's the goal is calling for you to be a different person.
Mm-hmm.
The goal is calling for you have to become that person that I always say, people say, well, how do I manifest? I had a girl message me on Facebook. She said, how do I manifest what I want in life? And I simply told her that you have to become the person that receives those types of blessings. You
Mm-hmm.
have to become the person that receives those type of things. You can't stay the same and think, just because you're motivated and just because your mind is telling you that you want it, that's not manifesting. And a lot of people get that confused. They think that, just thinking about it and wanting it is manifesting it. But no, you have to reinvent, you have to change, you have to figure out, okay, this is who I want to be. So how do they look? How does this person dress? Where does this person go? What type of people do I need to associate myself with? Can my old friends, get me to this level, or do I need to put myself around new people? So that was the first question, was, why do I want to reinvent myself? Because obviously something brings you to the book because you want to change. So that is
Mm-hmm.
the part where, you will write down the things that you feel like you need to improve on.
Mm-hmm.
Another question that um, I felt like was important to me, is number 10. Do I fear criticism? And a lot of people are not, I'm not going to say they're not afraid to fail, but more people are afraid to succeed because of what people would think. They don't want to overachieve. And I, used to be like that as well until I listened to an interview that Oprah had, and she was speaking at an all girls college. And she was speaking, and she said that when she was in high school, and she was doing broadcasting, she tried to fit in. Even though she was on TV, she was still trying to fit in with her classmates, and she was trying to please everybody, and she was trying to, she was a people pleaser. And that was because she said that she didn't want people to think that she was so full of herself, and she didn't want people to think that, oh, she thinks she's all that. But she had to, come out of that. And that resonated with me because sometimes it's not that people fear criticism of, you
Mm-hmm.
know, bad criticism. They fear criticism of, oh, if I overachieve, somebody's gonna feel some type of way. So that was a very important question for me. So the self analysis basically is for you to sit down and look at where you are. You would get a clear picture of where you are and who you are and what you want to become. And you would get a clear picture on what you need to do to become that person.
Mm-hmm.
Another chapter I have is called Gold Digging 101.
Mm-hmm.
And this chapter is basically talking about my creative method and the way that I set goals. And I know people like to start at right now, but what helped me, and I read in one of my books, was you start at the end. So you think about where you want to be 20 years from now. Where do you see yourself, the house, the car, everything?
Mm-hmm.
And from that vision that you have of yourself for 20 years from now, you will know, okay, what do I need to do right now to get
Mm-hmm.
there? And that's how I set my goals, because it gives me a clearer focus, because a lot of times we live in the now and we don't think about the future. We just think about, okay, what's going to get me here right now. But if you know where you want to be at 20 years from now, you can set the goals and you can structure yourself to get to align and get on that path that you need to be on. And then again, I talked about the brainstorming session as well in that chapter.
Mm-hmm.
Another chapter that was important to me um, was chapter 5. And I have some
Yeah,
quotes
growth.
in the book and things like that. So the chapter 5 is be unapologetic. And
Mm-hmm.
that basically goes with what I was saying before about not really worrying about, what other people would think and what other people would say, but just doing what needs to be done. So the book basically it sets the foundation, and at the end I have a call to action of acting like the person that you want to be for 21 days, because they say 21 days creates a new habit. So if you are following the book and you are doing the things that you need to do constantly, consecutively for 21 days,
Mm-hmm.
you will feel yourself becoming the person that you want to become. So
Mm-hmm.
this book is basically a very interactive book. It's a book that you should be reading, writing, and doing. It's not a book that you just, sit and study. I made it so that you can, get up and do the things that the book says. And I made it so that you can carry it with you. And when you get thrown off, or say someone calls your phone gossiping, and you would go to the chapter 4, which says elimination before elevation. Because some things, the things that don't add value to us and the things that don't add to our future, we need to let them go. So this book is, sometimes I catch myself, answering the phone and somebody's, telling me somebody else's business, and I have to go back and say, no, this is not productive. This is not adding to me. And that's where this book is, to help you be disciplined on your journey. That's why you write in it, you journal about it, you take it with you, because this is supposed to be an interactive guide to help you with your self reinvention. And once you read the book, um, it's not for you to just read it and put it down, because a part of growing up, you should always be growing up and you should always be elevating. So I feel like once you read the book and once you set your goals and do everything you need to do, once you go back to your self analysis, because I say you do it every year. So once you go back to your self analysis, you'll see that you completed, some of those things that you said. And that's when you would go back again and you would make new goals, because guess what? Your next goal is calling for you to be on the next level. I feel like this is a continuous guide that people will always be able to use.
Mm. And that seems to be, a good book, interactive book. So it's more realistic. So it kind of calls for action and kind of get a feedback. And like you said, it's not the book you kind of read and throw it away. You need to probably keep it and keep writing it. And you have the pages to make notes, and then keep working on yourself, your own goals. Like you said, where you imagine yourself from 5 years, 10 years later, or even later and kind of define those goals and just achieve those one by one, you know. So that is, and of course, based on your own reality, based on your own life, and then how you struggled and found your way through dark times, right?
Yeah.
Okay, very good. We commend you. You know, congratulations. You did wonderful
Thank
job
you.
by guiding others and also find your own guidance in that process. And that's what happens, you know, when we talk and when we try to guide others, we also find our guidance and answers. And that is great thing. Also, tell us what motivates you or what keeps you positive.
Yes. The thing that motivates me is to help other people.
Okay.
Um, and not just other people, but people that can really relate to me. It's a lot of young girls. I've been in over 30 foster homes because I used to run away so much. And it's so many people that are just like me that didn't really have the guidance.
Mhm.
And a lot of people, they listen to what they can relate to.
Mhm.
And so I noticed, you know, a lot of um speakers and things like that, not saying that they're not good, but a lot of people can't relate, you know, to them as this generation right now. So what motivates me is to help the people that were just like me, the girls that were in the dressing room, the girl that's about to drop out and go dance, the foster child that keeps running away and think that, you know, they don't know what's going to happen at the end of, you know, being in the system. Um, and for me to do it, for me to transform the way that I didn't know, I never seen my biological mother. I just, you know, recently found my family now that I'm 28 years old.
Mhm.
So I did it all alone, you know, with nobody, with no aunts, uncles, you know, nobody was on my back, you know, telling me to do these things. And a lot of people these days, they don't read. A lot of people don't won't take the time to go out and read Napoleon Hill or Robert Greene or Dale Carnegie. A lot of people are not going to do that because they probably don't resonate with them. So my motivation for me is for me to help those that were, you know, in the system,
Okay.
with journey and saw, you know, where I came from.
Okay, so that's a great story, and like you said, you found the way and you found the guidance and you following your path, and you did not have any help and still managed to kind of find greatness and in what you do and keep working on that, and I'm sure you will reach much more milestones to reach, right?
Yes.
Okay, so tell us also, we have almost reached to the end of our broadcast. Tell us any final thoughts or final message for our audience.
I just want everybody to know that you should always be elevating. If you want to find my book, it is on my website, missuniqueka.com, MSUNIQUEKA.com. It's also on Walmart.com and eBay.
Oh,
And on my website, there is other interviews from my tour, other things about my book. So if you want to follow the tour, you can subscribe to my website.
okay, great. Okay, well, that is so great. I think you're doing a fantastic job. Keep it up and
Thank you.
share with us, you know, your success. We would love to have you again and kind of update, see how things are going with your book and tour and so forth. You know, would be happy to help whatever we can. With that, leave my audience final message is that make sure believe in yourself and believe in that good things will happen. There could be difficult times, but you have to think of, like Unica said, later on, imagine yourself later in life what you would be, and then try to find your way where from current situation, and you will find a way. It might be could be very near, but or could be far, but direction has to be clear in your mind and in your heart, and then you will find guidance, and that is very important. So with that, with those words, thank you, Unica, for coming and sharing your experience and so forth. Okay,
Thank you.
take care.